Elvis was everywhere and doing everything. And generally in Hollywood, at his side was another young man from Memphis, Tennessee, Mr. Jerry Schilling. Welcome back to our night in Elvis's Hollywood.
Thank you, guys.
I think this is so appropriate for you to be a part of this show about Hollywood because Los Angeles is still where you live, in the home that
thanks to Elvis.
Thanks to Elvis, and made a career in show business, worked as a film editor. If you love some of the montage sequences in Elvis on Tour, Jerry worked with another young man on those. His name was, what was it?
Marty Scorsese.
That's right, that's right. So we were talking about Elvis in the movies, and we always said that, I was talking earlier about how Elvis was always fighting Red or Sonny or beating up somebody, and it was always kind of fun to look in the background to see where you guys were. And you told me one time that when you were an extra like that, if you crossed in front of a major player, you got a bump, or what were there were little...
Called a silent bit.
A silent bit, yeah. And you said Elvis would always kind of make sure that he would get close to you guys, so you'd get a little...
Yeah, we get a little extra $100 or something, you know. It's cool. Yeah.
Taken care of.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of us that have seen some of the stills backstage from Charo see Jerry Schilling looking an awful lot like Elvis. How did that come to be?
Well, I was trying to get a job in film editing, and so I quit working for Elvis. It was hard to do. But we kept a friendship, so he called me and said, you know, did you get that editing job yet? And he said, you know, do you want me to help you? I said, no, I can't. And I did need him to help me. But anyway, he said, I'm doing a movie in Arizona. If you want to be my stand-in and do some photo double work. And I said, sure. And so I went to Arizona, and I did the distant horseback stuff. And, you know, in my book, there's a picture of Elvis, like that great shot that we saw of him in Charo earlier. And then there's me in the same wardrobe doing the photo double stuff. So, I mean, it's amazing to look back on that. I mean, that I got to be able to work and double Elvis Presley. I mean, come on. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
As you became a manager of people like Billy Joel and the Beach Boys and Jerry Lee Lewis, I wonder if being a performer might have helped you understand what the performer goes through when they're acting, when they're playing music, when they're, you know, it's very vulnerable. You're kind of on a set, but that camera's looking at you, and whatever happens is going to be seen by fans.
Right. Well, I think the biggest lesson, and you get a lot of it through osmosis, but living with Elvis, working with him and all of that, and seeing the various moods, and that makes you very sensitive to an artist. And but I think I got that not by any lens, but by example from Elvis. And I, you know, being with him so much and everything, I knew the temperament of an artist, and most of the time, you know. Jerry Lee was good most of the time.
If you can manage him, you're doing pretty well.
7 years.
Yeah. For Elvis, when he got films, when he was going to Hollywood, you told a wonderful story earlier today about Green Grass of Home and what it meant to Elvis to be coming back from Hollywood. What was life like in Los Angeles? Take us on a typical shoot day. You're in one of the houses in Los Angeles, and you and the guys are there, and Elvis he's got to be on set. I'm assume he has an early call time to get into makeup. To tell me a typical day, if there was one, when Elvis was working in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, you know, Elvis was almost in every scene, so we had to be there. It was like, leave the house at 7, makeup at 8, and start shooting at 9. There were long days, and but I was thrilled. I mean, you know, I'm in Hollywood, Paramount Studios, you know, on a movie set. And, you know, some of the movies were less challenging to Elvis, so he wanted to have fun, you know, on the sets. and we'd pull pranks on each other between takes, and even the movies that weren't as challenging for us, we still had a good time. In fact, there was a director one time on Live a Little, Love a Little, and we were all having fun. But when it was time to do the work, Elvis was a pro. He was right there, and he went up to Elvis and said something about you guys, doing all this stuff. He was having a problem with it, and Elvis said, "Well, Mr. Rich," he said, "one of us will have to go, and it ain't going to be me if we can't do what we want to do."
There was also a story of Gene Nelson, a director. I think the movie's Harem Scarum that he's working on, and it's got a very, very tight shoot schedule. I mean, maybe
15 days.
15 days for a motion picture. And Elvis comes in, and do you know this story where he comes in and he sees the director kind of looking through the script, and he's doing this, and he says, "Mr. Nelson, you okay? Everything okay?" And he goes, "Oh no, Elvis, nothing. He says, I'm about a day and a half behind, and I'm just looking to see what we can do to kind of catch up and everything." And he said, "Well, Mr. Nelson, you tell me if you need me to be sick, because if I'm sick, the insurance will kick in, and you can shoot around me to pick up anything you need to pick up. So you let me know if I need to be sick."
Well, I never heard that great story.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy Elvis was.
Yeah. And calling him Mr. Nelson. So
of course.
Of course. Now for you, also, we were talking about something the other night over at the house with Linda, that you truly do know what it's like to be an actor, because there was a role of you, I believe you were billed as young man in an episode of The Rookies.
I wish I still was.
Trust me, you could still play young man. You were playing opposite an actress who was billed as young woman in The Rookies. And tell us about this scene, and then tell us who this actress was that you were in this scene with.
Well, there was a scene, it was The Rookies, and I got to do a lot of kind of little parts and stuff, because my big brother at Arkansas State, Rick Husky, when I was on a football scholarship, he became, and I brought him back to Memphis a few times, asked Elvis, was it cool, to the amusement park or movies, and so Rick, I bring him back to Memphis, and I wasn't still old enough to go to work for him, and where Elvis was going, it was private, otherwise it would have been crazy. So I bring Rick, I asked Elvis, we drove in from Jonesboro, Arkansas, and I said, "Can I bring my friend, whatever?" He says, "Oh, cool." And so Rick came, and we're at the, we called it the fairgrounds at the time, Liberty Land, and roller coasters and everything. And next thing I know, about 3 weeks later, a movie magazine article comes out by Rick Husky, "A Weekend with Elvis." And I go, "Oh my God." I've just blown all trust in Elvis. Elvis loved it. He loved the article. He would read movie magazines. And so then Rick, unbeknownst to me, wrote Elvis a letter and said, "We would like to honorary induct you into our fraternity, Tau Kappa Epsilon." And Elvis was so moved, and you've probably seen pictures with him and Rick, and and so we're also fraternity brothers, Elvis and I. Yeah. So, but he was thrilled. He didn't get a chance to go to college, and that somebody respected him that much. Yeah.
And then Rick Husky goes on to Hollywood, becomes a producer.
Huge.
Produces the Rookies.
Charlie's Angels. Created Cades, SWAT. I mean, I could go on and on. And that's who Elvis bought my home from. That was Rick's home, and he was moving to Malibu and other places. But yeah.
Speaking of Malibu, let's talk about Young Woman in this scene. Let's go
Oh,
back
go-
now
okay,
to
go
a
back.
scene already in progress in
Yes.
The Rookies, where I think it's a bar and there's a girl dancing, and then the director says, "All right, I need you two to kiss in this scene." And I don't know what kind of actor that you are, if you're method or what, Stella Adler maybe. I'm not sure what school of acting you went to, but tell them who your a Young Woman co-star was.
Well, let's say she was very close to Elvis at the time too, and you know, Elvis was a human being. He could be jealous. Trust me. And so I'm in a scene with Linda Thompson, and we have to kiss. I mean, don't have to. It wasn't that, but
For the role, you know, it's just,
yeah, you know, method actor.
exactly.
So anyway,
You're Brando.
we were both scared to death that Elvis was going to see this scene on television. Luckily, he never did.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about with Elvis in Hollywood with you is his tremendous respect for every person on that set.
Yeah.
Sound guy, gaffer, the makeup,
Yeah.
stunt people, especially the stunt people.
Yeah.
Cameras, I mean, he really did make an effort to meet everybody and know them.
Well, and all the people in Hollywood, they loved working on an Elvis film because it was fun. He was, you know, not some uppity star. He was part of it, and we'd start a film, and he'd go back to the head of the driving, or you know, or grip, or lighting man. He remembered talking about their families, and he'd say, you know, how's the family? How was he would remember a kid's name or whatever, and it was really. It's sad at the end of a movie because, especially when you go on location, is that you become a family with these people, and then it's over, you know.
Yeah.
But luckily, we worked a lot with the same people, you know, and yeah, it's a real family
Yeah.
situation, and.
Well, all those movies just continue to live on and continue to be little doorways that young people are using to discover, you know, who he is. So thanks for coming here to tell us a little bit about Elvis in the movies. And you know, I was thinking, you know, it's getting kind of late, and you and I are supposed to be across the street, you know, at a tour. So I think you and I need some doubles, you know, some stand-ins.
I think so.
And so Dean Z and Argo, if you would come be our stand-ins. I may or may not be back later, but let's get Dean Z and Argo. They're going to take us on down the line, and thank you very much, Jerry, for being a part.
My pleasure, my friend. The Tom and Jerry Show.
Jerry Schilling and Tom Brown. You're my best friend. It's the Tom and Jerry Show. Tom and Jerry Show. And Argo, you're my best friend.
Oh, and you're my best friend
My
too,
best
Dean.
friend. You're all of our best friends.